All right, everybody. Thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans, sponsored by Lion Bolt Media. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top real estate professionals in our field, essentially gathering insight, inspiration, really drives and motivates these top producers above and beyond everybody else and what I'd like to consider a real estate titan. Now, our very special guest and feature titan for today, I'm so excited, honored, and absolute pleasure, Dan Ihara. Dan, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're super busy, so thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Greg. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's an honor, and I cannot wait to dive into the series of questions for everybody out there in the Titan Nation to get to know you as a man, as a professional. So without further ado, Dan, I guess let's just jump into the first question, which is telling everybody a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, I started in real estate in 2005, 15 years ago, as an agent. Just the goal was to put food on the table. I had 3 young boys at the time. My wife had a great job. And then it just really started growing really fast. Earlier in my career, by my 7th month, I had 7 escrows. I was overwhelmed. And I asked my wife, hey, honey, I need your help because I'm getting buried here. And she said, well, you got to have this money in the pipeline and this money closed and this. And so she was very demanding, as she probably is. And what had happened was 6 months later, I was there. I said, okay, here's the numbers. Go get your license. So fortunately, after the first year, she joined me on our team. So it was just she and I.
Wow.
And we started growing. We got into what they call the top 100. There's 7,500 agents in our market. Wow. We got in the top 100 after our very first complete year. So we started in the summer of 2005. By the end of 2007, I was in the group of the top 100, and I've been there since 13 years now.
Incredible.
So our team has grown over time. There's 29 of us. We have about 9 or 10 virtual assistants now. We've got an operations manager. We've got a very strong listing team and a buy team. But in addition to that, we built a number of other ancillary businesses. Because we started serving a lot of older adult seniors, the biggest problem challenge they had was getting rid of their stuff, right? They collected years and decades of stuff.
Right.
And my very first listing was exactly that. She was in a Ford. Greg, do you know what a trail home is?
I do not.
A trail home where there's a trail from the front door to the sink, to the toilet, to the bed, back to the front door. Everything else has stuff on it.
Unreal.
Everything else has stuff on it. So I walk in there, very first listing, on my 2nd month being in business, and I stood there for 25 minutes talking to this lady about what I could do for her because there was no place to sit. Literally no place to sit. And I said, you know what, I'll help you do this. So that was what started a birthing of a new company that we started a number of years later called Senior Move Managers.
Okay.
We help people downsize, declutter, find out where to go, help them with the transition, help them set up, and create that simple transition and smooth journey for them where it's very, very difficult. Right? Especially imagine your grandma, your aunties and uncles having to do that at 80, 90 years old. Right? Problematic. So we became that solution. We identified a niche. We found there was a problem. We became the solution.
Wow.
Since then, we've moved over 800 families during this process. We're known in the industry. I think we could be the only, there might be one other person that has a real estate company that has our business model.
Wow.
But it's allowed us to bring value to a community that it doesn't exist. That solution isn't available outside of us. And then we started helping people just downsize and declutter. They weren't moving because they're planning on moving, but they're a number of years out. So basically, we built a pipeline of business so long and wide that it's just a constant flow of business.
Wow.
Our business grew from when I started, I think it was 8 years later, we kind of topped out.
Okay.
And we had a ceiling of about 28 to $30 million. And then we found out about a company called Keller Williams. And with that, I learned about systems, models, and tools that really helped us get to the next level. It launched our business. If I showed you the trajectory, in our state, what they do is they take a survey of all businesses. And they gave us one of the 50 awards. It's the top 50 fastest growing businesses in our entire state. And we won that twice in a row, 2 years in a row, because of our growth of our business.
Fantastic.
And it's pretty phenomenal to get on the list and then to get on it 2 years in a row. We just had to continually beat the previous years. So our business model grew because of basically wealthy older adults having problems, and we became the solution.
Right.
The other thing we found out is this same demographic, our target market, they also had investment properties, right? They had properties that were passed on from their parents, or they bought them a long time ago, and now they're thinking, what do I do now? Right? I don't want to manage it, but they also have found that some of their friends and families, their family are fighting over real estate after mom and dad died.
Wow.
Right? Very common, right? In all of the country, we see that. Because after that, usually that older generation was, I'll leave it in the trust, it's safe, and my kids will take care of it when I'm gone. Right? Sounds easy.
Sure.
How do you split real estate?
Right.
You don't. You can't. Do you really want to be in business with a family member? Because that's what happens when now they have to make decisions together.
Wow.
Right? So we created solutions for them. We created opportunities for them to create a legacy while they're alive, and so they can enjoy it. And also the kids can enjoy it before mom and dad are gone. And then it also simplifies the end times, right? When mom and dad's gone, the kids don't have to worry.
Right.
We're working with a client now that's got 6 properties. They're all going to be liquidated. We're going to do 1031 exchanges. They got 3 kids. We're selling 6 to buy 3.
Wow.
So in the end of her trust, when she's gone, there's no problems. Everything is equal. And then the house she's living in gets sold, and it cash flows over the top. It's simple. Right?
That's perfect.
So I take this model and we share that with financial planners, wills and trust attorneys, CPAs, private bankers, people that are in touch with what we call trusted advisors that are in touch with this demographic, the wealthy older adult.
Wow.
And that's kind of the model, right, that we built. Now we've been asked to coach on that. So we have another coaching company called The Complete Solution USA.
Okay.
And we have, I think, only 6 clients right now. It's not, my intention is not to grow really big, to be honest with you, until we get more leverage, because I have a pretty full schedule. Though I do it because I have a passion for it. I love serving. I love helping people. I love educating. And when I see the needle move, each of the businesses that I coach, I see them grow. That's just totally rewarding for me. I mean, it's obviously not for the money. It's just, it's more of an internal satisfaction, you could say.
I love that, Dan. And when you're talking about, I mean, that really gave everybody a huge foundation as to who you are and what got you in, and obviously starting and building the systems and what you're leveraging inside there. Before we move on to the next question though, I would like for you to kind of tap into the coaching a little bit, and just kind of let everybody know what that looks like. Just some highlights just for information, and then where they can get a hold of that information too.
Right. It's called The Complete Solution USA, thecompletesolutionusa.com. And you can go to the site. It's open, and you can see it without being a member. You can see what services are available. Basically, we built 2 programs. One is a self-service program, meaning we basically took our model of 15 years of, we closed 1,100 transactions. I've done over 1,000 seminars, and we built our model. Everything that made us successful, we modeled it, and it's available.
Love that.
So for a small fee, somebody can access it. We have marketing designed for them as well. So all they do is they drop their image, logo, and disclaimers in there, and our team creates the marketing for them and sends it back. So we become a training and marketing company, basically.
That's huge.
What we found, though, is that the one-on-one coaching is really where they see the growth, right? The accountability, the clarity on what steps to take, things like that. And that's what we're also doing is building our coaching model as well. I don't know how many we're going to actually have in total, maybe 10. I mean, it's not like that's not a real intention, although it's just a passion.
Wow. And so I love that. Dan, when you're talking about that and really breaking everything down and giving everybody information, please, everybody visit the site, take a look at that. If this is something that interests you and you're really looking to grow and scale your business from a true practitioner, I mean, Dan, you've really built this and bottled it up, as you said, all that you've learned and everything that you've really grown through to really share and that experience. And there's a lot of coaches and trainers out there who, they were part-time real estate professionals. They were better at coaching than actually being practitioners. I mean, you eat, sleep, and breathe what you do, and you put it together in a way, and you still do what you do. So there's a lot of weight that's carried that way, in my opinion, 100%. But I with that note or tone of passion, this next question really dives a little bit deeper into you, and it's the why question, Dan. So, I mean, if you could really answer what gets you excited every day, out of bed, motivated to do what you do to the level that you do it at, what's your why? What are your drivers?
Yeah, I think it's really about helping people through the journey of life, right? If you think about it, it's that simple. That's what we do. We help people through the journey of life, whether they're young and they're buying their first house, or they're older and they're trying to figure out, do I upsize, do I downsize, or finding a place to go, and helping through that entire journey. It's beyond just selling real estate, for us at least. It's beyond just making a transaction, right? We have clients that will do multiple transactions with us. They refer us tons of business because they know that not only are we good at what we do, we really care about what we do. We really care. We have systems in place that bring a high level of service to the client. And we have a promise that we share with every single client. And our promise is that you're going to have the most amazing experience with us. And know that real estate, there's things that are out of our control. And there'll be things that are going to happen. And we're dealing with people. And so things are going to show up. But our goal and our promise is that we're going to make this experience as pleasant as possible. The way we do that is through communication, right? Okay. We want to let you know in advance what's going to happen, so you're prepared for it, so you don't have surprises. And that's our promise.
Wow.
And it's pretty simple if you have systems and people that are willing to stand up to be clear. When you do something enough times, you get pretty good at it. You kind of know what to expect. You understand where your failure was, right? Because I failed more than anybody. That's how we learn, right? All my failures are bottled into things of filling the gap, so to speak. Right?
Well said.
And pretty much every day we're filling the gap somewhere, somehow. Don't get me wrong. We're a work in progress.
Right.
That's one of my sayings. I'm a work in progress.
Wow.
I'm learning every day how to get better and better. What does better look like?
Well, Dan, and coming from the #1 team in Hawaii with Keller Williams, it speaks volumes when you talk about learning every day and growing every day, and really sharing that humility with everybody who's watching or listening. I mean, it's so true. The best and brightest, they're always learning. They're always growing. They don't know it all, and I think that's really a continuance through the best and brightest in any industry, is that they really want to get better than they were the next day. Or the day before. And I love the fact that you say that and you live that, Dan. It means a lot. For sure.
Part of the way we live that is, one of the challenges that I had, I think it's one of the questions was, what were the things that were instrumental for me? And the first thing was to let go. So when I came to Keller Williams, I worked 7 days a week, 24/7, like a dog. I did good money, but I didn't have any systems, models, or tools. And then I learned that you can do this and you can scale and you can grow and create leverage, but you got to let go, right? And that was the hardest thing for me as an entrepreneur, salesperson. That really was a hard driver. I worked hard, and I believed my mindset prior to this was people come here for me. And the biggest aha I had was, see, they don't come here for me. They come here for the standards of which I uphold. So if I can duplicate the standards of which I uphold, then I don't need to be here.
Right.
Because that's what they're coming for. So that was a very humbling. It took many months, believe it or not, because it's big ego, right? People, they want me, right? And that's actually not really true.
Right.
So that was something that I learned. And then I had to also learn that you have to go find talent that fill the space by which you don't have. We use strength finders. I know what my strength is. I know what my weakness is.
Sure.
And I just filled in where my weakness was.
Wow.
So we brought people around me that would fill in that gap that I knew were, so I could stay in my lane.
Sure.
Basically what I do, I stay in my lane. And I allow people to have their own sandbox, and I don't play in their sandbox. Right?
Wow.
Right? So that was a big aha for me. It was hard to let go.
Okay.
Really. It was really, really tough. But once I learned it, everything started growing.
That's a big thing for everybody to hear, whether watching or listening, is again, kind of pre-answering question number 3, which is looking back at your career. If you could pick or choose 1 or 2 things that you added that took away, to the next level, what would that be? And the first principle that you're talking about is really just having the ability to let go, and that it isn't just about you. I love the representation of the holding those standards of what you're trying to represent, and having the people that are around you being true extensions of that. And that's what you've done, Dan. And I've had, I'm sure you have, so many conversations with real estate professionals where that is such a big hurdle for them, is my clients need me there. They need me, and no one can do it as good as I can. And it's like one of the hardest mental blocks to get over. But just as you stated, and so many other great professionals, get over that. And as soon as you do, you will see a whole nother opening of opportunity. I mean, I love that you said it, for sure.
I guess it was accepting and understanding my weaknesses, and then making sure that we find somebody who's really, really good at my weaknesses.
Right.
Give you an example. We came back from a conference once, and my wife said, hey, maybe we ought to have, because I was doing everything right. And she said, what if we had a role, there's a thing called a chief negotiator. I go, what's that? Well, that's the guy who takes all the contracts and he negotiates the contract that goes. I go, well, yeah, I don't like doing that. So try that. So my friend who was actually working with us, he said, yeah, let me try that. And he knocked it out of the park. And,
wow.
I mean, he just nailed it. Well, he retires, so we had to find somebody else. We found another guy that it's a young attorney that's doing this now. In a matter of 3 years, he's done hundreds of these, literally hundreds of transactions. From being an attorney fighting for the bank to kick people out of their house, to somebody serving an older family and keeping them, protecting them, and getting as much money as he can. Yeah, he's living life now, and he's in his sweet spot, right?
Wow.
He's good at what he does, and I don't like that stuff, right?
Sure.
Right? So all I do is I go out and get business. I'm the main agent. That's all I do. And then we have a whole listing manager team that gets it ready. So once I get it signed, it hands off to the listing management team. They get it ready, get it on the market. And once the offers come in, the chief negotiator takes over. And I'm just watching the whole process throughout. And if you go to our page and you look at our reviews, our clients are constantly talking, not about me, they're talking about our team.
Wow.
That's what's cool. That was a game changer for me.
Wow.
To be able to see other people being honored for the service level that we uphold, that's the goal.
Wow.
And I don't need my name on any stuff, right? It's really about lifting people up around you that are talented, that can do better than you.
Wow, Dan. I mean, that you're literally just scratching the surface of your excellence and thought process of everything that you and the team have put together and laid that foundation for, really that legacy that's building out for the communities and the industry that you serve. It's top notch, Dan. And again, setting that standard or bar for everybody who's watching or listening, really to kind of have that benchmark to say, hey, I'm trying to scale this way. I'm trying to grow this way. I'm trying to treat my community and my clients this way. Look to this man right here and his team, because it's absolutely incredible in going through everything that way, Dan. So I do want to, I know we could have a whole section just on that one question, but just for the sake of time into this, I do want to get to the tricky part of this actual interview and the series. It's question number 4, and this ends up being the challenge question. So I always lead into it with, we all have challenges in our lives, whether they're personal or professional. No one's exempt. But at the end of the day, it's not so much what happens, but we learn and what we can share that I truly find that matters. It's not to downplay pain or sorrow, but there's so many people out there that are going through so many different things. So Dan, if you're comfortable sharing a personal or professional challenge that you overcame, you came stronger because of it, what's that look like for you?
Well, gosh, there's so many challenges I got to tell you.
Yeah, gosh.
I'm here forever telling you all my problems because I have a lot of them. And,
sure.
But that's what shapes you, right? Failure shapes you, right? Learning from failing forward is a good thing. Gary Keller says, fail forward faster, right?
Wow.
And yeah, I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah, love
I
that.
feel a lot. But I think in the beginning, that first listing, when I said I would do something and I didn't know how to do it, meaning I'm going to help you clear this out. I go, okay, now that I just said that, how do I do this?
Okay.
Right? So what I did is I brought a 40-foot container. You know, a 40-foot container of trash.
Sure.
Put it on her lot and physically started throwing everything in there on myself.
Wow.
Because she didn't have any money. And she said, well, you said you're going to help me, so here's what, you know. So basically, I spent 6 months getting that house right.
Unreal.
6 months. The other lesson that was really, really painful was, again, I met her 2 months into getting licensed, right? Very naive, don't know how to qualify. So she says, yeah, I'll use you, right? So I start doing all this work. 6 months later, I come to her and say, okay, we're ready now. Let's take care of the paperwork.
Wow.
And she says, I need to list it for 1.3. Otherwise, I'm not going to use you. And I said, well, it's only worth maybe 1.1.
Huh.
And she said, well, if you don't, then I'll find somebody else. And then I go, you're kidding, right? 6 months of my life I spent here. And
unreal.
she has, unbelievable. So I had to suck it up. And I said, okay, well, I'm not letting go.
Right.
So we listed it. And we kept bringing the price down because eventually she started learning, except it took a long time.
Okay.
It took 12 months. 12 months to sell this house.
Okay.
It ended up selling under $1 million, 998 or something like that. But interesting story about that is during that 12 months, well, actually 18 months that I was out at that house, right?
Sure.
I picked up 7 listings over $8 million.
Wow.
And so it's kind of an aha. It's like sometimes you put in a lot of hard work and you don't really see what the future is going to hold. You don't see the blessings that are going to come out. But you do it anyways because you know it's the right thing to do. Right. And it shows up. And I sat there every Sunday and I picked up, you know, client after client. That's how I built my business off that one listing. Wow. That's what took us to the top 100 because in these the valley and the 2 mountains, you know, I sold more homes on one mountain than any company did. Wow. In that time period. Because I worked it every week, right? And I got good at picking up business. So yeah, while it was a challenge, when I look back, it really shaped my career. Would I do it again? Ooh, I don't know. That was really painful.
That's a tough thing.
You don't know, right? When you start out, you're just trying to do something and stay in motion, right? And I was, and it paid off.
Well, Dan, I think that when you're representing that challenge on a professional level, that hits home to a lot of professionals because you're doing what is right. You don't want to lose a transaction. And unfortunately, sometimes when you're not looking at it from the standpoint of the direct consumer, they can throw wrenches in the works. But it shows your character and integrity and stick-to-itiveness and work ethic to not give up. And I think that it is a blessing because, like you said, that one particular listing, if you were to, if that conversation happened and you said, nope, I can't do 1.3, it's not gonna, you walk away. That might have had a ripple effect and a negative tendency to you dominating the space that you dominate to now. So I again, you know, what a great learning experience is to, if you say you're going to do something, do it right. And look what happens. Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
it basically launched our career. That one mistake of not pre-qualifying her launched my career. Well, and it launched an entire industry in our island. Senior Move Managers was birthed off of that experience.
Okay.
And it was about, 5 years later that we started telling everybody what we did for people. And then this lady says, well, you know, there's a whole industry of people that do this. I go, really? Yeah, it's called Senior Move Managers. But really? I said, yeah, there's enough. I get home that night, I Google, I said, National Association of Senior Move Managers.
Wow.
I go, honey, this is incredible. There's a whole, these people get paid to do what we just did. Like, let's go start a new business. And she goes, yeah, with what time? I said, don't worry, we'll figure it out. That was in August. And by January, when the company was started, we started serving our first client.
Wow.
And from that, in one retirement community of 180 residents, we moved in over 100 families into that building.
Wow.
That just took our business to a whole other level. So
unreal.
It just snowballed our business model because of one mistake of not pre-qualifying somebody.
I think that was one of the best mistakes ever, Dan. I think that's incredible. Good mistakes happen, everybody. That is a fact. But so, Dan, going into that, I do want to talk about how people can get a hold of you a little bit deeper. And we were talking before we went live about the Facebook page and that you have several videos that are launched out there for people to engage. Can you share a little bit about the page and then also the videos?
Ihara Team Hawaii, our Facebook page, we post all of our videos and what we did when COVID hit. See, we did 8 to 10 seminars, in-person seminars a month,
Wow.
every month for years. Okay.
Huge.
When COVID hit, that shut everything down. We had to pivot. We said, what are we going to do now? We don't know how long this is going to last. So we shut down all of our in-person. We said, I committed to doing 8 unique seminars in the month of May, 2 a week.
Wow.
So I will never do this again, but I built 2 seminars a week, every single week. They're 60 minutes long. Some are taken from previous work that we've done. Some we built brand new.
Okay.
And what we did is we wanted to educate people for free, right? Versus having any string attached.
Sure.
So before it used to be, well, you got to sign up, you got to give me information to get this information. Now it's, no, you can just get it. Just go to our site, you get it all for free.
Wow.
Right? Use whatever you want. Call us if you have any questions. And that's really, really helped grow our business. Right?
Wow.
Just that coming from contribution, it actually pays off.
Dan, but I think that's again, further representation of who you are, is that giving mentality, you know, serving the community and serving others that are out there. And a lot of that information is going to be on the Facebook page. And I will have links, as always, in the comments down below so that you can really latch on to what Dan and the team are really putting out there so everybody can learn and grow. And that's a huge, huge thing. So we made it through the tough stuff though, Dan. I want to say you passed with flying colors on that challenge question because you made that look super easy. But I do want to go to a softer question. This is actually one of my favorites. It is the travel back in time question. So not to change what you've done or been through in your life, because as we discussed, what you've been through, positive or negative, it's made you who you are. It's shaped who you are. So not to necessarily change anything, but if you could go back in any time frame at any age range of your life and give your younger self a piece of advice or two, what would you say to younger Dan?
You can go, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others.
Beautiful.
And that's what took us to a whole different dimension in our business model. And it took a while for me to figure this out. You know, my high D personality, my driver personality, that's I'm just going to go and I'm going to make it happen. And no one's going to get in my way. And if it is to be, it is up to me. You know, all these sayings that I had to break that mindset down. Basically, I had to totally break the mindset down that you can't do it by yourself. No one succeeds alone. Nobody succeeds alone. Right. At any level. And I think that was the biggest thing for me as I was growing. I had to realize that I had to let go. And I had to find people around me that could really support areas that, while I think I should be doing it, I want to do it, I really shouldn't be, because I should stay in my lane. I should stay in the area that will get everybody further, faster. Right. And it took me a while to figure that out.
But that's such strong advice. I mean, not just for young Dan, because obviously we can't go back, but everybody who's watching and listening, myself included, can apply that thought process and mentality today, and we can influence and impact our future. So again, through and through, that was incredible stuff. And I not to mention anything that's kind of off the cuff that way, but there's a documentary on Netflix, and it's talking about, I think, the 90s Chicago Bulls. And there was a very specific scene in there, and I never heard this before through Michael Jordan, but they said something along the lines of, he said, there's no I in team, and then he came back and said, but there's an I in win. And I still am a firm believer of what you said. No one does it alone. And look at Michael Jordan, even incredible player, all these different things, not going to go into huge details, but he wouldn't have been able to do what he did without the surrounding players, right? It's the team that got those championships won. And some people could argue, oh, well, without him, that wouldn't happen. But again, you can't be a singular basketball team. And it applies everything through and through to real estate and to business and to life. I mean, we're the sum of all parts. And going back to your original thought process into surrounding yourself with great people and really kind of filling those gaps and bringing great people around you. I mean, huge advice, Dan. I mean, it's so compelling and so truthful. Again, coming from somebody who's a real practitioner, who's been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, as they say, right? So Absolutely love where you're coming from and the energy that you're spitting out here. Hopefully everybody can feel this. If you're not watching it and you can hear this, man, it's just absolutely incredible stuff. I love this, Dan, all the way. So let's go into the secondary crowd pleaser. We got 2 questions left. We're almost done. But this one is the feeding of the mind question. So everybody tunes in. They want to learn as the Titans learn. And so if there's books that you love, that you've read, that you're enjoyed, podcasts that you're listening to, influencers or coaches, if it's conferences or conventions, obviously masterminds that you love to attend. Dan, how are you feeding your mind?
Well, I've been blessed. When I came to Keller Williams, Gary invited me into his private mastermind group.
Wow.
Back in the day, there was only 100 of us. Now there's almost 300 of us.
Big honor.
Because of that, I was able to really learn from an amazing human being. Gary is so wise and so intentional with his life that I've really followed that model, basically. I run my life very similar to his in a very small way, obviously.
Right.
But because I get up early, I do my devotions, I read, I exercise, I take care of my family, I work, I cut off work, and so everything is time blocked, right? We're a big fan of the one thing, right? With Jay, right?
Yep.
And my wife and I actually went to the retreat, the one thing couples retreat in Austin last year, which was amazing. How you can build a plan that everyone's in alignment with, right? And you can track your goals. So I think for me, that's kind of where my mindset's been. I've been, again, fortunate that this private mastermind group, we have a private Facebook page that we're always bouncing ideas past each other. How do you do this? Who's doing that? Who's mastering this at a high level? And everyone's contributing. And it's like a little brotherhood that's so special that we used to go 4 times a year to go meet with the same group. Now, everybody would fly all around the country. We go twice a year to be in Austin, twice a year to be somewhere else. Okay. And I'd always fly the farthest, right? Because I'm in Hawaii.
Sure.
Right? And nobody has any sympathy for me, though.
Right. They're like, oh, poor Dan.
But yeah, right? They see my beach post. But
sure.
These people have really shaped me. They shaped. I so admire so many of them because of the way they run their lives, but the way they run their businesses. And it's so inspiring. So if I were to look at who are my mentors, it would be Gary and the group, basically.
Wow. That's huge. And I love the fact that you'd mentioned, meeting with a group and having those mastermind meetings and individuals and really pulling it from so many different sources. And everybody has perspective that way, Dan. You have so much to bring to the table, and so does everybody else involved that way. And at the end of the day, I think everybody out there who's watching or listening understands. I mean, you can read a ton of books, you can listen to a bunch of podcasts, watch a bunch of YouTube videos, you can attend conferences and have conversations, but you have to apply this knowledge. And you have to be a practitioner of what you're learning and consuming. Otherwise, you're just filling your mind with information that honestly is useless if you don't do anything with it. So I love the fact that you're doing that all the way across the board and you're masterminding. I find that to be the best way to go about it all the way through and through. So I will have links, as always, down in the comments down below, because you'd mentioned a particular book, which I think I have right behind me. And I think that Jay is scheduled for the show in October. So everybody keep that on the down low, anybody who's watching or listening. But I try not to do any pre-announcements that far in advance. But there's just incredible professionals that you're surrounding yourself with, Dan. And I absolutely love that and appreciate it. I do want to just thank you again for really giving us so much information and usable, applicable, design from your mind and how you've really grown and scaled, and just give us that perspective. But I do want to wrap everything up with a final question. And this ends up being a quote or mantra that sums you up as a man, as a professional. What's that look like for you?
I would guess you could say, well, it's a number of things. One, I guess, would be, I'm an entrepreneur that has the passion to serve and educate. And the way we do that, the target of that is helping families create generational wealth and enjoy the journey of life. Wow. Enjoy the journey of life, because life can be tricky, in particular in these days. Right. So how do we make that experience better, right? As they go through something extremely challenging, which is buying and selling real estate.
Wow. Dan, I think that sums you up beautifully. And again, I think everybody who hadn't known you or heard of you or had the pleasure to be in your life now, at least they get a really good understanding of
who you are and why you're so successful at what you do, amongst so many other things, Dan. So thank you again so much for taking the time. It's been an honor and a pleasure and a blast to have this conversation and share this moment with you. So thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Greg. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and you are an official real estate titan, Dan, so I need to dub that. That is official. There's a crown. There is not a trophy on the way or a plaque. People ask, like, where's the trophies? Where's the plaques? Nothing there yet. Maybe after episode 200. I don't know. It's like right there, Dan. It's right there. But yeah.
Before I go, Greg, I got one more thing I want to share.
Oh, yes, please.
We have mission, vision, values, belief, and perspective in our model. But it starts with a mission, right? So our mission is to honor God by serving others with the highest level of competency, care, and compassion with uncompromising integrity. That's what we do when we do.
Gosh, Dan, I mean, it's just that particular standpoint, it breaks down in so many notes. And, you know, again, just what an honor and a privilege for the people that are able to surround themselves with you and have those like-minded conversations, and not just your family or your immediate friends or your clients, but your team and your colleagues that are involved. And just what a pleasure and an honor. And again, anybody that knows this man, incredible, absolutely incredible. This is great, Dan. So I can't thank you enough. I can't thank everybody out there, as always, for your love and support, your time and attention. If you like here doing Real Estate Titans, as always, like, subscribe. You know what to do at this point. I do need to give our sponsor a quick shout out, Lion Bolt Media. So if you are in real estate, you're looking to have market capture as far as digital space is concerned, really being in front of the right people, right place, the right time, buyers and sellers, and capture those minds and hearts to convert those into paying clients and actually close transactions, please visit lionboltmedia.com. We are live here with Real Estate Titans every Tuesday and Friday afternoon, a different Titan, a different location. We'll catch everybody in the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care. Thanks, Dan.
Well,